live with the best father and son team on the internet. It's time for Homie and the Dude.
What's up, everyone? This is Homie and the Dude, the father and son TTRPG podcast, and we are here, delighted to be here with our boy Arlo, aka Arlentric, one of the up-and-coming, like, fucking to-the-moon YouTube streamers right now. Arlo, how the fuck are you?
Very fucking good. Hi, guys. Thank you for having me on. It's awesome to be here.
we'll all just pretend we haven't been having conversations. we're just lean straight into that. For people who don't know, we met Arlo during our Wandering Tavern campaign, and have since then met at Gen Con and hung out. And dude, you're just one of the like most sound, down-to-earth people in the TTRPG space that we've kind of encountered. And I wanted to just ask, dude, as someone who is from, TTRPGs feels like a whole world away for us here in the UK. It must feel even further away for you in Australia. How do you manage being like almost isolated from all the other core big creators over in Australia versus, the core that is in the US?
That is such a good opening question. Yeah, because for a little while, it kind of felt like the pointless in a sense unless I moved US side, because I just wasn't aware. I've learned more and more, especially since going to Gen Con, that there are plenty of Australian-based creators. It's a much smaller little corner and nook of people that I'm sure I'll get very close with, because there's not a lot of us. And yeah, there's some in the UK, there's some in New Zealand. But yeah, it's intimidating because you feel like you're almost at a disadvantage in some sense, because there's a lot of cons and a lot of meetups, and a few hour flight to go be at this thing took me 16 hours just to get to Indiana for the con, which as well as time is not a cheap feat at all. So it's been a learning experience. I found it more and more. I'm getting there. It's hard in a sense because some companies just aren't aware of you if you're not American or don't work with international people. So you really kind of have to advocate for yourself more than ever. That's working at times. I got to meet you guys from it, which is really cool. Trying to find the opportunities that I can actually pursue and make work. But yeah, I kind of like to perceive myself as a bit of an underdog in a sense, and being in that small nook of the world kind of helps with that. So,
Oh yeah, I love that.
What's your array of your audience? If you look at your YouTube analytics, is it like spread, or is it centralized on the sort of your hemisphere?
So my audience on YouTube and TikTok is, I think it's like 80% US, which is very funny to me, because I don't know. I think at the end of the day, the bulk of the TTRPG audience just is in America. So no one really knows or recognizes me all that much at home. Came over here. It was cool that people knew me and kind of went, I don't know who you are. That was a newer experience. I can get away with doing stuff at home and no one really. It'd be cool to be recognized back home, but there's just not a lot of us back there who are in the space at the moment. So it's definitely US based.
That's super interesting, because obviously, we experience the exact same thing. Like when we look at our analytics, it's the exact same thing. It's where the major community is. And two things that you said that I think are super, super interesting, and also things that I think we have experienced, and I'm super interested to get your take on some of this. So first of all, the underdog thing, dude. There's something about feeling like the underdog that is like my favorite thing in the world. Like I love feeling like I'm behind, I'm down in points, it's fourth quarter, we got, 5 minutes left and we got to make something fucking happen. Like
pull it out,
pull it out the fire.
That's exactly right.
Do you know? And I think like something about that, dude, something about having a disadvantage makes you want it that much more. It makes you push that much harder. It makes you like zone in and lock in that much more. So I super appreciated you saying that, because I think us being here in the UK, it's something that we also kind of experience, and we talk about that a fair amount, Tom and I, and how much, it's important to us that like, cool, as things build, we want to be known not because of, the I guess, the scope of our audience. We want to be known because of the ripples that we do within the space in terms of innovating, coming up with new fantastical things, pushing like the industry forward, creating like, you know, a community of people that are awesome and, you know, a safe space for everyone to hang out and things like that. So I think, you know, that really spoke to me. Something else as well, dude, that I'm really, really curious about is you mentioned, you know, you feel like you're at a disadvantage. Now, when we went to Gen Con, and it must have been very different for you than us because, you know, as a YouTube creator, your whole brand is you, basically. Where for us here at Homie and the Dude, our brand is, you know, our books, realistically. It's the things that people can purchase from us. It's less Tom and I specifically, even though, you know, we do 90% of all the public-facing stuff.
Although... someone did say, purple hat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So help me in the dude.
We do get, yeah, little recognitions of that. But I think what was interesting for us is walking around and interacting with people. What felt like disadvantages we had being a publishing unit that aren't like the face of something meant that, you know, whether it be getting invited to certain things or whether it be, you know, being recognized, whether it be like interacting with certain people or getting the ability to interact with certain people and things like that. It felt like, one, the UK thing, two, the like we're new to the scene, and three, like we don't have a massive public presence in terms of outside of, you know, the like couple thousand people that have backed our Kickstarters in the past. So I wanted to ask, like, where does that disadvantage for you feel? Because for us, it's like that, like, we just don't have a face, so it's hard for people to you know, recognize us or be a part of, like, you know, the us thing when we are out there. So what was your experience with that?
Yeah, so from my end, it's more, it's probably part of it's the mental aspect of it. Learning more and more that the TTRPG industry is more, it's who you know and making those connections. And the community is really connected. Everyone's lovely in the community, but it's kind of the way up of, and to a sense, I probably overthink and overthought every interaction I had with someone, because if I stuff that up, I don't get to do it again for potentially another year. Like, it's not, I can't keep coming back and forth. So it's kind of, which at times was very overwhelming. There's the imposter syndrome seeps in as well. And, you know, a lot of people you really admire in the space are in a room with you and you want to go meet them, and you can, but part of me goes, no, they don't. And everyone I talked to or got introduced to in that sense was very receptive to talking to me. But it's the first thing I've ever been to, and I'm still struggling to look at myself as a brand, because the harsh reality of what I've done up until I've come to Gen Con is stand in a room by myself, making dumb jokes, making myself laugh, and then seeing a number on a screen and not really processing any of that as actually meaning anything. And this is probably the first time all of that hit at once. It's like people I admire recognize me. I had this one cool interaction with creator that I absolutely loved that asked to be introduced to me, which I was like, no, I should be asking to talk. Like, it was really cool and surreal. But yeah, I guess it's a bundle of all of that. The disadvantage in a sense is it's not like severe. It's just and it might all be mainly I'm perceiving it that way to give myself that fake underdog edge to push myself to keep doing this. But it was all just a bit overwhelming, to be honest. I had a really good time. Like, it was great. I didn't know what to expect, and it was the first instance of it. So I don't even know if I answered the question. I think I just rambled around it, but there's something in there.
No, dude, I 100% agree, dude. Overwhelming is exactly what I would describe that experience. You know, like talking, hilariously, dude, I have a great story from the Gen Con that we were just at, and it's one where I just completely, like, ate my own foot like an absolute fucking idiot. So at the 64 party, met Rob from Viva La Dirt League. And I actually spoke to him like 3 or 4 times that night. Super, super lovely guy, but I was introducing someone else. And I, as someone who has visited Australia once in my life, like, can distinguish between a Kiwi and Aussie accent about as well as I can distinguish between, you know, like 2 different types of, like, dog, or, like, you know, like I don't have I'm not great at hearing
with
it.
UK accent.
Yeah, exactly. We struggle with Scotland, with Wales, with all that stuff. So I introduced him as Australian, and he was like, "We're
he would have hated
Kiwis,"
it.
and exactly. And like, dude, I literally came back to Tom after that and was like, "For fuck's sake!" I was like, I have been watching them for 4 years. Like, I am such a huge fan of like the all the videos that they put out. I watch almost everything that they drop on YouTube. And I've never watched any of their behind the scenes stuff, which is probably where would have learned that they were Kiwis. I've only just watched the stuff they put out along with their as well as their actual play. And I was just like, it's one of those moments, dude, where like, again, in some weird way, you're calculating every interaction. You're overthinking every interaction and being like, right, I need to fucking nail this shit, you know? And that was one of like the 30 or 40 conversations I had that night where I just fucked it. Like beefed so hard and came away and was just like, bro. It's like, what the fuck? And so I think, dude, overwhelming is very much how I would put it as well. But I think in that sense, dude, it puts you in a headspace that's really interesting and different. That, like, I think it makes you, in a weird way, hungrier to be a part of those conversations and to be able to have those conversations and to be in the room where it happens. You know, it makes that a very interesting space and a space to, you know, also do just meet awesome people. Like, I can't tell you how many of the people who I watch from afar on YouTube are just the nicest fucking people, just so kind and willing to chat and hang out. And I think, like, it was nice to finally like make some connections with people that, you know, they say don't meet your heroes, but I feel like it somehow hasn't applied a lot to TTRPGs. Like, it feels like meet the people that are big, because they're actually gorgeous and amazing people who are just,
could not agree
you know,
more. That's
super
my biggest
lush,
takeaway
you
from
know?
all of it is everyone that I've kind of put on this pedestal of like, I make YouTube content. I'd love to be in more actual plays and stuff like that. The world of the Matt Mercers and all that is far beyond what I'm striving for. I make YouTube content and dumb videos, and the people on top of that pedestal for me, I got to meet a vast majority of them, and some of them remembered my name, and I'm like, that's the coolest thing. It was sort of back-to-back days, and they're like, Arlo, and I was like, holy shit, you know who I am. Like, it was just it was cool that they were, you know, you want those people to be as lovely as you perceive them in your head, and then you talk to them, and when they are, it's kind of just like the most like rewarding feeling ever, because you're like, great, you are this nice thing that I wanted you to be. So
Yeah, dude, I 100% agree. And then you beef it like I did with Roll. Fuck's sake.
So let's kind of take a peek underneath the kimono here a second. All right.
Okay.
Let's be a little bit controversial. When you're in that room, are you gauging encounters by the amount of subs someone has? So you're like looking at this person, you're like, okay, I know them. They're kind of a peer of mine. I feel like we can interact on a peer level. Where then I look at someone else and I'm like, holy fuck, they have 5 times the amount of subs. Like, does that influence your, like, it kind of did mine a little bit. Like, I was like, oh fuck I mean, like that person sitting at the top, like
dude,
near
like
the top of the
Ginny
mountain.
D, like, this is one of the things. Like, I think it's less about like sub count, more just like charisma and presence. Like, when Ginny D walks into a room, like, heads turned, like, people are like, oh shit. Like,
Yeah, but are they turning because Ginny D has, like,
no, I think they're turning because it's her. It's like if Snoop Dogg walked in the room. It doesn't matter that he has millions of subs and followers. It's more just that it's like they have a gravitas. You know,
Okay.
it's a level of just like social. It's status, I think, is what it is.
But how do you get your status is what I'm asking. So if Ginny D had,
I think it's a mixture of having a group of people that will vouch for you. I think that's where status comes from, is a community of people that will be like, irregardless of what you do, you know, whether you're putting out D&D content or a month later you put out a video of you sword fighting, you're like, hey, by the way, I also like sword fighting, and they're like, oh my god, it doesn't matter what you do, I like your stuff. I think they're the people that put you into a place of status, because they, like, when someone on the internet is like, fuck Homie and the Dude, or like, fuck Arlo, they're like, no, fuck you, you know. And so those are the people that,
but
you know, I think give you the status.
and I'll pass this to you, Orlo, in a second. Here's my thing. Is Ginny D's presence created by the impact she has made in her career? So we look at that, and then we look at Ginny D just differently, because like our perception of Ginny D is
Subconsciously,
going
you mean?
through a filter of like, holy shit,
Yeah.
Ginny D has made a huge impact in our community, as opposed to if like, you know, put yourself in another timeline and Ginny D is, you know, is not Ginny D, but she's just a regular kind of creator that's out there kind of slugging it out with everyone else. Does she walk in a room and does she still have that gravitas? Does she still have that impact? Or is she just this little petite, cute and fun and really super nice person, but without like
It's an interesting
the aura
question.
around her?
It's a very interesting question. I don't know to answer that question.
Yeah, of
to answer
course.
the first part of it, to give you a very beta introverted answer to what you were asking, I didn't go up to really anyone that I wanted to unless somebody was, or like I was talking to someone, I'd be like, oh, that's person. And they'd be like, do you want to go meet? Like I was very, I don't think anyone knows who I am. So unless there's a, hey, this is Arlo.
Yeah.
I know a lot of other people did because that's what you're meant to do. I think I drastically underprepared for meeting meeting your heroes and meeting your peers, and didn't assess anyone on if they were bigger or smaller, because a lot of the people I had the most genuine conversations with are people we'd never heard of each other before.
Yeah.
No concept of that. Didn't learn about their content till I left the con and made a list of let's go check out this person.
Yeah.
But I think the cool thing at the end of the day with this space is, and I think there's a surface level, at least there is when you gave a great example of Ginny's like at the top of the top with YouTube creation and stuff like that. From me going in, it's like, oh, I can't go up and talk to that person. That's there's this weird food, but there isn't this chain of everyone's just kind of lovely, and it's weird. I haven't been in another space like this. Like I can't really compare it to a lot of things. Because I mean, I did Twitch back in the day, and Australian Twitch is competitive, I guess, because you're competing for viewership. But this was like overwhelming. Like everyone's just really supportive and like super open to just be like, hey, what are your plans with your content? Why don't you try it? Like, especially bigger creators to me, like I haven't talked to a lot of people. I don't have a lot of people in my life who understand how I go through the content creation process, because I'm starting to treat it more and more like a job, and I don't want to bother people with asking those questions. But the almost instantaneous like questions of what are your plans? What are you going to do? And some of that was, I don't know. I actually haven't thought about anything past the next month because I'm a very unorganized person. But like starting to piece that all together and realizing how like supportive the entire space is with that was something I was not expecting at all. And yeah, I think once I kind of learned that, I'd say unfortunately towards kind of the end of Gen Con, kind of stripped away that intimidation from seeing people you look up to, because although I still didn't do it because introverted coward, but I know I could, if I really wanted to, I could go up to whoever I want and talk to them, and they'd be absolutely amicable in having a conversation. So
Totally.
it was cool.
Dude, I agree with that. I think it was one of those things, like you said. I think I think it was super interesting because I'm as someone who is American, and my friends comment on this all the time. I'm exceedingly outspoken compared to my English friends, like exceedingly so. And like a big thing that I try and do is very much like speak to strangers, because I also have like really bad anxiety, really bad social anxiety, and like as a kid I had really bad stage fright, but also wanted to study like acting and dance and stuff. So I was like, I need to get over that. So I forced myself as a child, and I now do it all the time as an adult, force myself to just speak to people I don't know as much as possible, and like compliment people on the street and do that kind of thing, because it just pushes me out of my comfort zone. And I think for me, what's interesting is, I definitely, some of my favorite conversations when I was talking to people were people who I didn't even know like what they did or who they were. And like you said, till afterwards, and I'm like Googling, I'm like, oh my God, this was this person? I didn't even realize. Like, that's so cool, And I think, that was really nice. But I definitely think, at least on my side, there was definitely like, how often do you get to be in one of those places? And it was like, cool, I'm definitely gonna like, I decided when we walked in, I was like, because I wasn't feeling good as well. I had a headache that day really bad, and I suffer from like migraines and stuff really bad, so I was struggling. But when we walked in, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just be extroverted. I'm gonna push my social battery for the next couple hours and I'm going to allow myself to just talk to people and just go out of my way to, have conversations with people that I wouldn't usually.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, dude, I agree. Talking to many of those upper echelon and even mid-tier, lower, I spoke to a whole range of people, that night and throughout the whole con. And I think it was really nice to just see that irregardless of kind of where they were. And I think, for me, the person I was most afraid of talking to was a Bria Iyengar. I bumped into her in the hallway and I just didn't know really what to say. It was just panicky because I love her infinitely. And she's just one of my all-time favorite GMs. And dude, she was as kind to me as, you were, as D&D Shorts was, as Ginny was, as, any of the big hitters were. And it kind of broke some of that veil for me as well of almost being look, dude, if you have the confidence, you can go and interact with these people, and they are totally receptive, super, super receptive.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's an interesting space because I think also in a weird way, for me as well, we've been friendly with B. Dave Walters for a long time, and I thought he was colossal in the industry, and he is still very colossal in the industry. But now that we talk to him about MMA regularly on Twitter and have had him on podcast and done all that kind of stuff, it doesn't feel it's B. Dave. It's it's just B. Dave, kind of thing. He's our homie, and I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to feel with people that you look up to. I think it's so rare in life that you get to look up to someone and feel that friendship level with someone.
It's a fun thing that, I guess, watching this content before I even started creating it, now some of these people message me just not even about content, being like, hey, what are you doing? And that's it sounds really dumb, but it's it's just instantly stripped away the kind of, it's obviously exciting the first time you talk to one of them, and then the fact that you can form genuine relationships and friendships with these people is my peers, I guess, is it's weird. It's really weird. It's nice. It's it's a really nice space to be in that I'm still not fully comprehending. I think the fun part of it as well, from my end at least, and because I got a bunch of people who've reached out. Who there's the coolest thing about the space is no matter how many followers or subs or whatever your viewership is, everyone makes really great content that is it's all going to grow. I don't know, there's so many people that going to annoy Mads, who's in my Mads, who I'm with at the moment, makes way better content than me and has less viewership than me, and I don't have there's no rhyme or reason for it, but the depth of space, depth of talent in the space is just, it's overwhelming. And there's only even just talking like we've said, talking to people not knowing who they are, it's because there's so fucking many of us. It's impossible to know everyone.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I 100% agree. Yeah, I think let me ask you this. So, we've gone to this event. We've been around all these people. We've experienced that actually TTRPG space, like you said, is so full. I know for us, we came away and we were we know we're in a handful of publishers at the moment that have reached the heights that we've reached within Kickstarter level of content. But we came away from that being holy shit, this industry is huge. We thought it was a tiny puzzle piece in some obscure part of the overall puzzle, and it's a cluster of pieces. Dude, seeing the sheer number of people at Gen Con, and I wanted to ask you from your end, how, again, the perspective from Australia versus people who get to go to those things regularly. Dude, I showed up and we were how many halls is there? How many fucking hotels are they doing this in? A stadium?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It just felt crazy.
I was gonna say, because you're comparing it to PAX Australia, which there's other things. We do Comic-Con in Sydney or something, but PAX Oz in Melbourne, which going to later in the year, scale wise, we have a Melbourne Convention Centre, which just in comparison to what Gen Con was, isn't even worth talking about. But half of that hall is for is for like, because it's PAX, it's, you know, there's new indie games and studios showing their video games and stuff like that, and then the other half is tabletop games and board games, and then that half is then split into half of that is like your prearranged D&D games or open play card games, and then it's like 10 booths of people selling stuff, and that's like a 30th of the size of just the exhibition hall of what Gen Con. Like, I tried to see everything in Gen Con over 5 days and I didn't.
Yeah, we didn't.
It's not even if you zoom out of the size of what Gen Con was, like Australia's backs, it's just like a small ant size representation of what was actually there.
Yeah, we had no idea either. It was I mean, it was pretty mind-boggling, wasn't it? The first couple days, we just kept finding more and more of it, and then, like, you know, you're just walking down the JW hallways, and it's just wall to wall with these big conference rooms that people are playing games, and then you're thinking, oh, there's the Hyatt, and there's the fucking, you know, the Crown Plaza, and there's the fucking, you know, they're surrounding the whole convention area, and it's just like at any given time, there was thousands of people playing TTRPGs, like at all hours of the day, which is, you know, kind of just blows your mind a little bit.
Yeah, it's freaking cool.
Yeah,
it was the coolest cluster of. You couldn't see it anywhere else in the world, really. Like, I was staying 15-20 minute drive out from the con, and our hotel that we were at, there was people sat down on the base floor playing until 3 in the morning, and we weren't even near the con. Like, it was just non-stop the entire time, which was so cool.
Dude, at the airport when we were leaving, there was people like waiting for their flights playing shit. There was people on the plane playing shit.
There was
so sick.
Oh, it was. I mean, it was just crazy. They couldn't get enough of it.
I've got a question, because you said something a minute ago that I actually am very curious about. You said you're not in a lot of actual plays at the moment, though you wouldn't mind being in more. You would enjoy being in more. It's a really interesting thing, because Tom and I saw, whose Kickstarter was it, where Will, Bob, DC20, thank you. Yeah. DC20's Kickstarter, a group of YouTubers got together and played a one-shot. Now, what I think is interesting is, dude, in the space that you're in, I think, especially with, like, D&D Shorts, who offers, like, little, like, game-breaking, like, advice, you know, like, here's a spell combination that you can use to completely derail your GM, and, like, you know, like Cinder used to do a bunch of stuff like that as well, and things like that. There's this curiosity that I know a lot of the people watching have, which is like, what are these guys actually like when they sit at the table? You know, they give a lot, like almost like y'all talk the talk, but can you walk the walk kind of thing.
The motivational coach, you know, or the person that's giving you like...
It's the boxing coach that's like, you're like, you wear a baggy coat, and I don't know if you're overweight or if you like are actually really hench under there and have been training for years. Like, I don't know what's happening here. So, like, have you, like, because you're kind of in that category of people of, like, you know, you make a certain type of content, and I know a bunch of people would love to see you. Have you thought about either creating your own, or like trying to put yourself in the or, you know, current, I guess, of water that is, you know, getting named for actual plays and being chosen for actual plays and stuff? Have you considered that?
I'll do a tiny semi-plug, because my GM might kill me, Jack, who's a fellow Australian.
Please do.
I am in an actual play at the moment that I've kind of missed the start of, because we did one episode and some preamble stuff, and then I'm in the US and coming back to do it all. So we're a podcast called Sounds Like Adventure. We're doing like The Expanse. It's a space based on the TV show and book. Space TTRPG system. And that's the first one I've ever been in, and it's a lot of fun. It's a new system. Still learning it. Very excited to dive in with all of that. But so, Jack, I'm sorry I didn't say it sooner. I am definitely in an actual play, but I'd love to be in more. I'd love to, like you said, that's kind of why the opportunity popped up, and I was like, yeah, I want to. It's an ongoing thing I've been trying to figure out with the content I do, because a lot of it, I like to say, it's dad jokes reskinned in TTRPG format a lot of the time, and I have a lot of knowledge and experience, and I GM a homebrew game, and I read source books most every other day, and it's not hard, but it's sometimes like I'd like people to know how I play. I'm typically pretty goofy with how I like to do that kind of thing, but yeah, I want people to, I mean, I'm realizing more and more people enjoy this for whatever reason. So I can do that for longer than a minute. I'm just trying to figure out how to, I guess. And TTRP actual plays seem like a fun way of doing that. Just figuring out how to, I guess, and where and when to, and time zones, because I'm in Australia and everyone it'll be 3 in the morning when they want me to play. So it's figuring that part out.
Dude, I feel that. I think it's also it's hard as well because you've got to find a unique selling point with actual plays. Like I think, and I imagine that's what you were going to mention. It's a dense industry.
No, I was actually going to go in a little bit of a different direction. Like you mentioned it a little bit as well. Like just talking to other people, they're like, "So what are you going to do?" And like actual play is definitely a branch. So you're in a space, right? And actual play is a branch, and there's long form content that's a branch, and there's Kickstarters that's a branch, and there's I don't know how much like your live streaming is a branch. There's all this stuff, right?
I reckon they're the big three. I think exactly if you've hit the nails on the head. And yeah, there is live streaming as well, but I think that's supplementary to doing other forms of content as well. But yeah, I don't think I'm veering into being an actual play performer. I love playing D&D, but I'm not. And I think that the harsh reality I want to admit to myself is doing an actual play. I'm not funny all the time. Like the videos I take, there's a lot of retakes. Like it's me really batting at a ball and trying to make something stick. Actually, you get a lot of people with improv backgrounds who are genuinely like performers and entertaining. And I'm a nerdy kid who didn't do any of those things and just likes dumb jokes, which is the harsh reality of what I do. So there's people more suited to it. I'm going to be in some. I'd love to, because I just, more than anything, especially going to Gen Con, I love people in the space and just want to play with them. And because everyone else is a content creator, it's cool to do that for our collective audiences. But I'm veering towards, I think my branch is long form. Trying to figure out how to do that is fun for me and kind of sustainable, because I think I chatted about to you guys at Gen Con about this. I do a lot of things that isn't really sustainable at the moment, so it's figuring out how to, now that I'm realizing I am a brand, which is still weird saying out loud, figuring out how to actually make this a sustainable and manageable thing that doesn't burn me out in 4 months because I've just been doing too much.
Totally.
Yeah, so you probably know this, but I like my role in Homie and the Dude is marketing, and so part of the marketing is just kind of really kind of doing a deep dive on whether it's YouTube creators or other Kickstarters, or just kind of seeing how trends go and everything. And I have noticed, and I'm not sure how much you've dove into this, but like there's sort of like plateau levels of content creators. And I have noticed, dude, that like even some of those that have like, summited large peaks, you mentioned it, like I think there's burnout, there's getting yourself boxed into a certain type of content, and then you keep going back at the well and back at the well, and pretty soon now it's tough to go somewhere else because you've kind of rinsed it as much as you can. And so there's a lot of like pitfalls, I think, that makes what you guys do, your world, dude, is a tough world. It's a tough world. Like you got to really balance that shit. Yeah.
The hardest thing for me as well, which I know for a lot of the time, it's just like, just do it anyway, I think is the general sense of the mentality. But like D&D Shots, Will's the perfect example. Will is so informed with the rules and the ins and outs of what you can do with the game that I could easily do that video, but I watch Will's videos and I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it better than him, so why should I do it at all, kind of thing. And then it becomes what can I offer in the space that's like worth doing and is different enough. And that's been the harder bit. I played around with a lot of different long form stuff. None of it's consistent at the moment. I had fun doing them all. And now just longer form skit stuff, which is great. But I guess it hasn't happened yet. But I'm also very aware that the rate at which I'm releasing and short form videos and just kind of trying to loosely roadmap ahead it's the fear of, what if I run out of ideas or what
yeah,
if
I feel you, dude.
because of the amount of time I'm spending on this, I'm just not enjoying D&D anymore. So it's a thing you have to think about. I'm trying not to stress myself about it, but it's a potential reality.
Okay, first of all, I saw something hilarious before we all get a little bit vulnerable. Saw a hilarious thing talking about men can only be vulnerable when they're doing sport-based things. It's like, you know, you're like playing catch with each other, like kicking a footy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You're like in the
Playing a little horse together.
yeah, I was gonna say you're in the kitchen like doing, you know, yeah, man, she left me and I'm feeling a little bit hurt about it at the moment. You know. Anyway, sorry. Rotating back. I think, dude, it's so refreshing to hear someone, you know, say some real shit, dude, of like, imposter syndrome is such a heavy thing within creating. And I think and there's a difference as well. I think there's a couple different types of burnout. There's consistent burnout of going at something regularly and doing it all the time. Then there's like creative burnout of like either you're exhausting too many ideas and you're running out of them,
Yeah.
or you're like Tom said, you're like pickaxing away at one idea for so long that you begin to just hate that idea like infinitely almost. And dude, like I've experienced it with our writing stuff. Like our first book at this point, like Sky Zephyrs, like awesome book, super super proud of it. But dude, I would be so happy if I never fucking saw that book again. Like I'm so past the like the work that I had to put into it and the thinking about the same thing. Like I thought about vehicle combat and mechanics about that for like a year and a half, and it was just too much. Like I just could like. And I'm about to go back into it. I'm about to dive back down the rabbit hole for our next book to make our next you know, mechanics system agnostic, so it's not just 5e based for our vehicle stuff. And like, dude, it's a real thing. And I think, you know, something I've learned definitely over our time is like learning how to manage, you know, what I'm working on and like drifting from, you know, different parts of various projects. And I think as a project manager, a little bit more of my role, even though I am like one of the lead writers and you know, the primary mechanics guy for any of our books. I definitely do then float and deal with like the artists and the layout and the, you know, the map makers and things like that. And it allows me to take breaks away from being like, oh my God, I've been looking at movement mechanics for 3 days and I want to just die because I can't think about a freaking saving throw again, you know, or whatever it might be. And so I really just appreciated you saying that because it really resonates. And I think it's something that and dude, like, I don't know if the long form content would be applicable to this, but that level of honesty and that level of like discussion about like talking about how to avoid burnout or like talking, you know, that would be to me like long form content, you know, I think I love people that you can, I watch a lot of creators, not because of what they make, but because of who they are. And I think that's such a key part of that formula that you're talking about of like, I think even if you ran out of ideas and you just uploaded being like, and it was a short being like, hey guys, I got nothing. Have a good day. You know, kind of thing. I think, dude, people would.
I'm gonna write that down. Hold on.
Because, dude, I think that would actually, you know, like resonate with people. I think people being like, dude, I'm fucking burnt out of ideas today. You guys have had enough shorts this week. I hope you have a good fucking weekend. Be good to each other. You know, like that kind of shit, dude. And that's you, dude. Like that's who you are in person as well. You're so that type of guy that like. I don't know. That's just my thought of like, you know, thinking about.
Right. I appreciate that, genuinely. That is it's good insight. I'll let you build some, and then I'll jump back on and build on top of it.
Yeah. So here's kind of what we have been playing with, because we've done 2 Kickstarters. We're going to do another one, and we see other Kickstarters out there. And how would I say this? There's certain topics that I think would be more commercially.
Marketable.
Yeah. You get a broader audience, you know, all this stuff. And so there's that's kind of playing on our minds a little bit. Like we could do this thing and just by doing that, it would probably take care of itself in a lot of ways. But we keep coming back to, let's just do the shit that we really like. Let's just do the shit that we really think is cool. Let's do the shit that we think if we saw someone else doing it, we'd fucking want it. We would want it. And that's kind of what drives us. And here's the other thing I would say, Arlo. I've seen some creators that have been on a nice fucking growth pattern, and something happened. Like, you can almost see it in their videos. They're getting more tense. They're getting more. You could almost see like the worry or something. So like, you have to kind of make peace with why you're doing it. And that has to be probably something other than money or subs or anything else. It has to be, whether it's fun, whether it's creativity, whether it's you like the grind, whatever it is, like really fucking tap into what that is, because that's going to be sustainable over a long period of time. You know, when all that other shit, you know, is just numbers. You know, I've gotten to 100. I need to get to 200. There's always another number, right? There's always another fucking layer and another level. So, like, when you think of that, what if you were like, okay, I'm gonna close my eyes, what the fuck is the thing that's sustainable for me to be in this space over the course of 1, 3, 5 years? Like, I wake up and I'm still happy about doing this shit.
I think the kind of it's been a funnier few months for me, because I think for the first time this has stopped doing this so meteorically, which from other creators I've talked to at cons and things like that, they're saying that just happens. Eventually it will stop going. It'll keep going, but it won't be doing this at such a meteoric rate, which is fine. And they're like, and eventually there's going to be just a dip, and that's going to feel atrocious, which I think's kind of happening, and I didn't like it for a bit. And now I'm kind of like, well, exactly like you were saying, I kind of went back to, why did I make the videos in the first place? I started making them for no hope at all. And this is fine, and we'll tie back into the burnout things. So not a lot of people know this. And if you scroll far enough back on my TikTok, you'll find it. I started making content as I made Stardew Valley content for a while.
That's incredible.
That's
incredible.
Which I got a lot of following from. It was COVID. Stardew Valley was a fun game I played with my fiance and brothers, and all remote, because it's just like nice and made the world seem less grim outside. I did that for a while. Loved the game. Made some videos on it that I was doing Twitchy stuff, and they're like, make content. And a couple of them went viral. I went, oh, cool. People like me playing Stardew. And then I made more and more, and they kept getting a lot of attention. And then did exactly what we've kind of pinpointed as not a good thing here. I was like, great, just going to do a deep dive on this game and just keep making content for it, despite the fact that I have a plethora of wider interests. And then I made like a video about something that's like a kind of game secret. Everyone's like, oh, more of that. And then I just spent all my time trying to like learn every secret about. I hate the game now. Can't stand Stardew Valley. I played the ever living shit out of it just to learn things, to make videos about it. And then I was like, I don't enjoy making the videos. I don't care who sees them. And I've now really niched down to this thing that I don't enjoy doing. And then for ages I was like, oh, do I just I fell in love with video editing, had a lot of fun doing that. I loved the creative process. I loved having an outlet, and at the start it kind of was an outlet until I got really bogged down into keep churning out videos for no real reason. And then I was like, well, I could restart and make videos that I just enjoy doing for the artistic liberty and expression of it all. Or I could just start massively changing the content that I post. Videos won't get a lot of views, but I'll be happier with it. And that's what I decided to do. Took a massive dip in all of that stuff, which hurt for a second. And I was like, well, at the end of the day, it doesn't change my life. I'm not living off of, I've got a job that I do outside of making content. This isn't paying the bills. It's just meant to be fun. And then, like you said, once I started having fun again, I realized that that's when the videos and everything started taking off. And yeah, I think I'm like it at the time as well. I was doing all this. I just started playing D&D after wanting to play it for like 6 or 7 years, and fell in love with every single part of it. And that's the thing I enjoyed the most. And then I was like, well, why don't I just make content about the thing I actually enjoy instead of this weird farming game that I despise everything about. So yeah, started doing that. and yeah, haven't really looked back. And like you said, the best part about it for me is it's not, although it's, and it's not just D&D anymore. It's just broader to TTRPGs. There's so much room in that with it can just be for me. I can just do a dumb joke and just skin it very slightly in D&D or TTRPG or just high fantasy, and that's enough. That's enough that it makes sense.
That's awesome.
And I think the harsh reality is if I didn't skin it in that, people would still watch it because it's still the same humor. I'm just doing that for whatever reason out of slight of fear. But the branches and opportunities in what I can do is so much more. And I'm like you asked, why do I do this? Because it brings me joy. I think it's the most true representation of me that I have in my life. So it's just kind of like this is rawly who I am and the kind of things I find funny. And if you don't like that, I don't really give a fuck.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a very dramatic way of answering your question, but there you go.
No, dude, I think, there's many things in there that you said that are, I very much resonate with. And, I think it's, dude, there's a big space here where, there's a lot of people, like you said, who are trying to either be creators or things like that, dude. And I think, those of us who can withstand and bear through the imposter syndrome and, find, the ebbs and flows of what we create and how we create. And, it's similar to, painters who have, series of of pieces of art, sorry, like Van Gogh and his, sunflowers, it's like, people have series, and people have, artists have albums, musicians have albums, and for one album they're in one style, and for another album they're in another style, and then some bands get stuck in one style for a very long time, and they try something new and everyone hates it, and a lot of new people who come on who hear it for the first time love it. And I think, dude, I really resonate with a lot of what you've just said, and I think, doing it because you love it. And I've said very much, I said this with our first Kickstarter, and I kind of, Tom said it as well, but a lot of what I create is like my thank you to like D&D, my thank you to like the space that I'm now a part of, that like, that my fiance, bless her heart, has to be a part of, because I like literally walk around the house mumbling to myself about mechanics of magic systems, and like I'm like, like some deranged old person, mumbling and shuffling around, and like I think, I'm so thankful for D&D, and I think, like you said, doing it because it's the truest form of yourself, and it's the thing that actually, if you stripped out needing to make money, I think you and I would probably be doing this irregardless of whether we needed to pay bills or whether we needed to, do whatever. And I think and dude, that's kind of what I'm talking about your videos, dude. I think, I like, for example, there's two groups that I'll just off the top of my head. There's a group called Corridor Digital who make fantastic content. They have done since like almost the beginning of YouTube. They've been around. Yeah. They've been around since the fucking beginning. And I don't give a fuck what they make a video about, but because of who it is and the years that I've spent watching them and getting to know them and knowing how each person reacts to things, and taking bets as I'm watching a video of whose fingers were on this, who do I think did that, CG simulation of this, or who do I think did that. And so and then there's another group, for example, in the UK, there's a group called the Sidemen who are very big here. Yeah. I've been a fan of theirs for a while, and three of them have just created a golf channel. I fucking hate golf. I can truly hate golf, and I watch those videos because it's just another chance for me to get to see them being them.
Yeah, more of the content of them. Yeah.
Again, and I think, dude, that's the place that I think your content really has a place to go and to be, and whether it's long form or not. And you also mentioned your editing, how you love like editing stuff, dude. And a big one for me, a place that I found that fulfills a lot of my new creativity. Instead of stepping into a new niche, what I look to do is innovate in a place where I'm already comfortable, or like, trying to change like stuff that is, big and different. And, you know, dude, maybe it's the quality of your videos with, you know, production, like,
That's
you know, sets
definitely
and like
it's on the
editing,
radar
and
to fix.
you know, like
That's
whether it's like, you know, dude, deeper editing where you're using After Effects to throw in some wild effects and the skits start turning into, you know, instead of it being XP to level 3 where you're, you know, sat around the table playing multiple characters, you know, it starts becoming more like Viva La Dirt League, where you have these gorgeous like skits that are, you know, I don't know, dude, I'm spitball, I'm just throwing shit against
no,
you.
it's
Do you know what I
it's
mean? Like that kind of
all the
shit.
things that have been rattling away in my brain
Yeah.
next. I think that's one thing that it shows, I think, in some of my earlier long form videos is because a short for me, I'm not necessarily engaging one-to-one with the camera. It's this quick grab a person's attention, here's the bit, and then long form, oh, it can still be that, but I find it's a lot more, okay, now you really got to show a bit more of your personality, because short form is very high engaging, quick, short. People can scroll in 3 seconds and that's the end of it. Whereas long form, ideally, people clicking onto a long form video to be there for the long haul. They don't want to have to click out of it. And it's like, well, I'm coming to terms with the fact that people like me, which is of course, because that's why they've clicked like or subscribe and all that fun stuff. But it's now just figuring out how to actually use that to be like, this is actually like you've just said, actually just talking genuinely to the camera is something I really want to do, instead of like scripting stuff out and just being, because I'm not a very organized person. I'm a very like just rambly, and I want to present that more in how I do stuff, because I think authentically me is the best version of myself that I can present. So that's what I'm figuring out.
Dude, I want a bloopers reel. I want a,
I'll send you
you fucking
3
up
hours of
tapes.
footage from a 30-second video.
Oh, dude, dude, that's the type of shit, dude. Like, and do you know what? Do you know what's a really interesting comparison to this? So I'm not sure how much you're in the realm of skateboarding, or you've ever experienced the community, or like what was originally the thing, but now has kind of moved away from that, is skate video parts. So video parts are, you know, very much, you know, that's back in the day how skaters would define themselves, would be with a video part that had amazing music, great editing and whatever. But the reason you fall in love with a skater is because you watch them fall 30 times to get a fucking trick, and then at the end when they get it, you're like, damn, that was so good. So like, again, it's that genuineness of like watching their emotions through that, watching them like go through the mental battle just as much of the physical battle of actually doing the trick or whatever. I think, you know, is a beautiful thing. Dude, I just have to say, I think one of the best things about you and what you bring to the table, dude, is just how genuine and real you are, dude. And I think that's something that I definitely struggle with some other creators that are colossal at the moment, that do similar videos to yourself, or, you know, like adjacent shorts and things like that to yourself. And dude, I think it's a weapon, man. I think you being you, and I think it's an Aussie thing as well, dude. Like, Aussies are just really personal people. Like, you guys just start with like a higher charisma stat than everyone else, and I think it's just easier for people to they feel trusting of Aussies and people in Australasia generally.
It's genuinely reassuring to hear, because it's a good thing to. I don't know if it's clear. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing at all. I'm really figuring this out as I go along. But it's good having these. Every time I've talked to anyone, like you guys, anyone else I've talked to, it's cool to hear back. Like you hear, I'm not good at accepting compliments or praise or anything, but it's with the repetitive things I'm hearing back from my peers and people I'm talking to, it's kind of starting to stick, which is really nice, warm. Not to get too soppy about all this, but yeah,
Please do.
It is starting to click a bit, and I don't feel the coolest thing post Gen Con was leaving was like, oh, actually, like I deserve to be here. Like that was a cool feeling that I didn't have going in. I was like, I'm petrified to just be in a room with all these amazingly creative people that I don't think I should be in a room with, and I left kind of going, no, actually. I have just as much right as anyone else here to be here, which was a really cool takeaway that I didn't think I would have had it at the end of the con.
Yeah, I mean, I think I look at this as well with if we take it to like movie stars. Um, you look at some movie stars and you're like, they fucking just bottled lightning, didn't they? They just got lucky. They were in the right place at the right time. They looked the part. They were great. And then 5 years later, they're still cranking them out. And you're like, and now behind the scenes, just like we know behind the scenes, what it takes. Like we
To
know
do
what
it
it takes
every
to do a Kickstarter, and we know what it takes for a year-long setup so that you can launch and you can maximize that, and then how to take it to the next level. And you know that there's very few flukes. Those that have made it make
Yeah,
it because
absolutely.
of work ethic, creativity. Like they have all
Time,
of that.
effort.
Yeah, all of that is like part of the like. There's no accidents to get to each different level of that creator. That creator Everest is like you said. There's plateaus. There's dips. Like everyone, just about everyone has gone through those, navigated through those, and figured out a way. Okay, now I can get to this space. And so I don't really look at it as like it's it's a it's a journey that oftentimes, dude, just showing up and being there day after
Mm.
day, week after week, month after month, year after year, kind of takes care of itself as well, dude. Like some of the people that are in your space, and we've seen it ourselves in our own little short journey,
So
have
many.
just fallen off because it's a long and hard fucking task, right? So if you're just there, you just show up, you do your reps, you practice your fucking layups. The metaphor is, you
Hit your
practice,
micins.
you hit your micins, you do your 100 fucking free throws, you do some suicides, and you do that year after year after year. You eventually build a career that
Yeah.
is you look back and you're like, fuck, I've traveled a long distance, and there were very few shortcuts. I fucking had to go through that whole journey. I had a little bump that was awesome. I had some mana from heaven that like landed on me, and that was great. But I also fucking swam through some shit. You know what I mean?
That's my favorite thing you've ever said, actually.
But I've also done the fucking Andy Dufresne. I had to swim through some shit for
Yeah,
fucking months at a
yeah.
time. You know what I mean? And I'm still standing and I'm still walking forward. Like it's all part of it.
Do you know what? Can I just say something? It's beautiful to me that we can, and this is a weird thing in 2024. I feel like the space for men is getting weirder and weirder. I'm more and more confused about where I fit into this whole thing with each passing year. And I think for me to sit in a group of guys with you two, and for all of us to be able to be vulnerable, and I first of all, I appreciate you being soppy, dude, and I appreciate you talking about, dude, and I just want you to know I'm so pleased that you are feeling more confident in yourself after Gen Con. It's something, dude, that I also very much understand that space of am I forget in D&D, am I just as Bodhi within my personal life fucking good enough? And then now I'm running a brand or a company, and I've got to be the person that the world needs me to be. Like, that's crazy when I'm not even sure if I'm the person I need to be for the people around me, for so dude, I appreciate massively you saying that Gen Con built some confidence for you. And I can't tell you as another guy, dude, how happy it makes me to hear that you're feeling better about yourself, because all that kind of stuff for us guys, I feel like we don't have a lot of outlets of talking about our emotions and expressing how hard days are, how good days are, and I think a lot of us, we whether it's bottle it or put it to the side, or just say, I'm just weathered to that. I've got a stronger, ability to handle the waves that come at me. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, we don't as much. And I think, I super appreciate you saying that. And I think a lot of people, again, anyone who watches this or has the opportunity to watch your content, I think will appreciate that part of you, dude. And that's, dude, I think my biggest takeaway from Gen Con meeting you, dude, was I said to Tom, I was like, we both came away being like, Arlo's a fucking real one. Arlo is a fucking actual homie, because dude, you, from the moment we met you, you were just so present, engaged, just caring, honest and open. And I think it's such a rare thing, especially, dude, like, because there are people who go to Gen Con thinking about, like Tom said, the numbers of who's in the room. There are people who are going there to be, you know, to be that fucking wolf in the crowd, like sussing out their next business deal. And, you know, and it was and we engaged with a couple people like that. And I think that it was refreshing to have, you know, yourself, you know, and I think that was, do you know what, I'll throw this out there, going back to our earlier conversation. Maybe that was part of what was overwhelming, was not knowing who was a wolf and who was a sheep in those rooms, you know, and knowing, like, right, I'll say something that's going to be fucking controversial, and I probably shouldn't, but fuck it. I definitely thought like there was a couple of people, you know, I definitely felt like there was one person in particular that I remember being very, like, just strategic with conversation, and then how they spoke to me versus how they spoke to someone else in the circle that we were stood around, based on what we just did at full stop,
Right.
was like us being publishers versus them being YouTubers was wild. I was like, this is so wild that they, you know, that there are people like that. So almost, I think part of that thing was going in being like, who the fuck is here to, like, suss people out, and who is here to be a nice person just meeting people and hanging out, you know? And I think, that was what I loved about you.
Part of that, and I think you mentioned this as well, Arlo, is that we didn't really know what we were stepping into. That, you know, it was just
I had no idea we were meant to network. I was just like, let's go play board games and talk about games.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So like next year, like you've already had, you know, some reps on this now. So next year you kind of know the lay of the land, you know what to expect. There's, you know, some similar and familiar faces that you'll be seeing. There's the vibe, you know, there's the whole element of alcohol as part of it. There's the whole element of, like, you know, who's in it for what, you know, all this stuff. You kind of get, just by having that repetition, I think it'll be a lot easier next year. But I think overall for me, it was a pretty, I wasn't really, I guess because we didn't know what we were getting into, we didn't have an agenda. We were just there. We were just like fucking puppy dogs that night. I was like a puppy dog that night, dude. I was just like, I'm so happy just talking to different people. We had reconnected with some people that we had met virtually like years ago, and we had like lost contact with them. So it was a whole like spectrum of stuff. And I'll tell you what, us meeting you, dude, for me was just an affirmation of what I knew going into that fucking meeting. Like I felt like, I felt like
you were saying all the way up to Gen Con, you're like, you were
like, Arlo's the one.
Yeah, you're like, I'm buzzing to meet Arlo. You're like, I'm buzzing.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, you know, we have our hoops, common ground, but we also just talking about, you know, all the way through the Wandering Tavern and stuff like that. It was a familiar space for me to just be like, look, we can just talk real. We don't have any like outside expectations. It just felt, and I have felt that with others as well. And but it's a small group. It is a small group. And now for us, we want to just build that group into just a little bit bigger. And we just want it to be like our homies. And it might not make sense. Like, but it's just us. It's and what we like and what we gravitate towards. So that's kind of like, that's our shit right now. That's what we're,
I mean, echoing what you guys have said, it was probably one of the highlights of my con was just sitting down with you guys for 4 hours and talking absolute nonsense, and then we talked the tiniest bit of serious stuff as well. But it was just like, that's what I went for. I was like, I want to meet the people that I virtually know, and I think we're going to get along like a house on fire. And then just to kind of, like I said, meeting someone and your thoughts about them being validated and being the way that you want them to be. Like it was, we said a word to each other and instantly like, all right, let's just talk about absolutely everything that's ever happened ever for the next 3 hours. And it was just like so straightforward and comfortable. Yeah. No, it was awesome. It's a highlight of my trip, genuinely.
Yeah, dude. Same, ours too, dude. Same for us, dude. Getting.
We actually did that. I don't know if we were at the airport or because we flew back to Vegas to see my mom for one more night and then flew back. So she may have even asked, but we had some highlights of like, what's your top 3 highlights? And meeting Arlo was squarely in the top 3.
Yeah, for sure. But dude, I think I just want you to know, dude, I'm confident for your future in whatever path you go, and especially with the long form stuff, dude. I think it'll be a good adventure, dude. And also with the actual play stuff, I was thinking as well. We've been talking about leading up to the Scorched Basin and the project we're working on with you and stuff like that. And I think I would love for us creators, the creator group that we have, to do an actual play, a one shot. Whether one of you guys wants to run it and I play in it and you guys run my shit, or I run my shit and we do it. I think to me, I think that would be really great to get a little group of adventurers together.
I think that'd be amazing.
Super fun.
Let's do that. Let's lock that in.
Yeah, and even just playtesting, I think, because especially the guys who are creating adventures for it, I think to playtest their stuff and then put like your vehicles and items in with their stuff and cinders like monsters. Yeah, seeing how it all mashes together, I think will be a really, really sick.
That'll be fun. It'll be super fun.
Even just playtesting it outside of like filming anything. I think we should do some playtest sessions.
We just want to have fun and play D&D.
Yeah.
That's all we're trying to do.
That'd be cool.
I think that'd be really fucking sick. And then also, dude, like just getting you in for some actual play stuff. To be fair, we have an actual play that we play in that are always looking for guests. I know it would be better timing because we play later in the evening.
Dude, I think
is it middle of the night?
I think it's all just fun.
Is it fun?
Australia just ruins everything.
I mean, it's so we play at 7 o'clock at night our time, but it's just like. It seems like everything is either we're in the middle of the night or you're in the middle of the night. Like
what time zone is that? Let me do some conversion.
It's BST, so it's UK time, 7 o'clock at night.
BST to AEST. It's 4 in the morning.
That's exactly it, dude. It's anytime.
Never mind.
Pick any fucking time, dude. Pick any time, and it's
I build it up like there was some optimism there.
You're like, oh, that's not what the fuck.
I'll get up for 4. It's okay.
That's fucking. Also, I didn't realize that you were engaged / partnered up / wifeyed up. I didn't know that was a situation.
Yeah, no, she's not in the space or like which is I think it's very fun. I've roped her into learning D&D just by proxy because I convinced all the cousins to. So she's been great in a sense of just like I think that some of the things you were touching on before in terms of just the ebbs and flows of content creation. And she's been a big rock in a sense of, when things are annoyingly bad, because she doesn't get the ins and outs, but when she kind of sits down like, this video that I enjoyed making flopped really hard. And she's like, yeah, well, you had fun making it though.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it just kind of resets that why I'm doing it thing. So yeah, it's very good in that sense.
So when did you get engaged? Because I knew you had a partner based off of our conversation Gen Con and you mentioning like her cousins and the whole like playing D&D. But like how long have you guys been engaged for?
What year is it?
No. This is sounding more and more familiar.
Yeah, right.
Quite literally 1st of Jan from last year. I did it like New Year's thing in New Zealand. So
dude, that's a banger, dude. That's
good.
Is your anniversary now the day you got engaged, or whatever the first anniversary was?
Until we get around to roping the wedding together, it'll just stay the dating anniversary.
Yeah.
What about you? Is it
our engagement and dating is the same? Nikki planned it so it'd be the same
day.
That's
so smart. That's genius.
But right. That's like she's
the math spreadsheet person. She's the for wedding planning. We sat down to do our first bit of wedding planning. She was like, oh, I'm gonna create a spreadsheet about it. I was like, oh, for God's sake! I was like, for fuck's sake! I'll sit here while you get all excited about Excel for a little bit.
However, just before we went live with you, you said, I'm getting Nikki to do me a spreadsheet for my magic.
Yes,
system.
yeah. I was like, and dude, that's the support thing. Literally today, Nikki was like, so tell me about the new magic system you're working on for the Scorched Basin. And I was like, I don't want to bore you with that. I was like, it's going to be like, that's like an hour conversation of me saying things that make no sense to you or me. And she was like, no, please tell me. I was like, look, I'll tell you when it's more refined and we can dig into it. I was like, because I actually want you to make me a spreadsheet and help me out with point distribution for these player mechanics. I was like, so I will very much tell you. I was like, but I also don't want us to fall down a rabbit hole for 2.5 hours on our one day that we've had together this whole week. Like, let's go for a walk or some shit and not talk about D&D stuff. But dude, again, that support thing, dude. There's something about that, dude.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely some similarities because, you know, you could be having a hard ass day or a hard ass week, and Nick's will just take it to but you're running your own business, dude. You know what I mean? Like just like this perspective.
How bad is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think Cole, who is another person who is in our creator group, he's Deck of DM Things on YouTube. Him and his partner, we met them at Gen Con as well, and similar, exact same vibe. Like, you know, he's grinding away. She doesn't really get it, but is just 100% like committed to supporting and just like being a part of it and trying to like as much as possible, you know, supporting the creative YouTube stuff and things like that. And I think there's some power to that. Did you know what? There's something about having a powerful, determined man with the support of like a powerful, like determined woman. There's something about those two things that like really, well, I say woman, supportive person. You know, your significant other. That is woman in our case.
In our examples,
that can like elevate you to new heights. There's something about that, having that support system that is really fucking important. And I would say as well, like you said, having those bad days and being able to communicate with someone, like, again, as a guy, it's a hard thing to do, but if you have someone you feel truly comfortable with, that you can be like, dude, today fucking sucks, you know, and they can support you, or like, I'm feeling anxious today, you know, that's a huge thing to have in your life.
It's so impactful on like even when I like with things like, this video is shit, and like she follows me on everything, just again doesn't understand what 90% of the video is about, but it's just the idea of supporting, and then like just getting a message being like, I thought it was funny, and I'm like, that's enough for me to keep doing what I'm doing. It just reminded me, so I'll go on a side tangent. I had this commenter for ages that I assume still comments on things, it's just to keep up with them, especially on YouTube, is overwhelming. But for like my first 200 shorts, commented on everyone. His name was Crazy Banana. There was 4 numbers. I'm not going to remember them in the order, I'm doing this service, but very unique name. And he just commented on everything, and then it just became a thing of, I'm going to make videos just for this person because they really resonate with it. And then I did a nice post when I hit 100K on YouTube, and he commented on it, and like that really got me emotional because he's like, look how far we've come. And I'm like, yeah, we have come this far.
Dude, that's fucking sick.
That's awesome.
Dude. That's fucking so sick, dude. That's, you know, it is wild, dude, when you look like, so after we're done with this podcast, we're doing a UFC live stream till 6 a.m, like idiots.
Amazing.
And we have like a small group of people who, when we live stream, they just like reappear. And Tom and I have been doing this UFC live stream for 3 years straight now. We've done almost, I think we missed maybe 4 or 5 pay-per-views in all that time. And there's like a small group of people, dude, who just keep coming back. And like every time we like come to do a live stream, we're like, is it worth it? We're like, we don't even do this content anymore. Why the fuck are we live streaming this? And we're like, it's just so we can hang out with like Chris Zimmerman, like the you know, Ryan, you know, there's a small group of people that are always there commenting, always there chatting. And it's so weird how much like years down the line, they're like, look at you guys. Like, you know, when our Wandering Tavern Kickstarter went out, there's one of them who has literally been with us like since the beginning. And he just dropped us a message in Facebook and was like, congrats guys, like big stuff, you know? And it's like, awesome. It's one of those things where it's like, damn dude, like people out there actually like give a shit. And like, you know, there's people in our Discord server as well, dude, that like have been there. Like there's one lady who, God bless her, I love her to pieces. Her name is Justine. Her name is Justine in our Discord. I don't know what her actual name is, but her like tag name is Justine Numbers. And she has cooked every fucking recipe my mom has put in that book. And it's just like, it's so wild that she's like there all the time being like, I cooked another one from the book. And I'm like, why? Like, this is wild. Like, what? Why are you doing this? And it means so much, dude. It's one of those things where I'm like, like, again, people meeting us at Gen Con and being like, homie and the dude, like, that's a crazy experience, dude. Like, having anyone be like, oh my God, I watch your shit, or like a friend of mine went to the pub the other day and was talking about her playing D&D, and they were like, oh yeah, I love this D&D group. I'm not sure if you've heard of them. I watch their videos to go to sleep. Homie and the dude. Lauren Cooper met someone the other day. I was like, what the f? I was like, that's crazy people stuff. I was like, what? I'm like, what lunatic is watching our videos to go to sleep? I'm like, that person has got to be deranged. Like, that's crazy. And so I think, dude, I very much sit in that space of like, it's wild how much, and I think a lot of people start off being like, I'm either making content for myself or I'm making content for the numbers. And then I think at a certain point you realize that that's not enough, and you start being like, I'm now making content for the community that I've built.
Yeah.
And I'm creating content for them, myself, and like me, like all of us being a family together. Like that's now why I create content, is because the people who are there day in and day out, either in the comments or, liking the video, or, in the Discord server, or following the Patreon, or, whatever capacity it is, like those people are the people who matter in a weird way. And they're the ones who they're the one who, like I said, that's who gives you status. They're the ones who are fucking like fighting your corner. Like,
that's exactly how I've been. I was going to completely agree with what you're saying. That's like, I've got so sporadic. I'm a big note list maker. I've got like 50 different notes of just figure shit out on my phone. But that's like one thing that I've really went away from Gen Con and kind of wrote it. And it's not even a tangible thing I can do anything yet. But I was like, I got to just, like, not that I haven't been doing this in mind, but I've just been creating for the sake of creating it, and I'm having fun with it. But that's with long form, especially. Like, I want to start doing stuff for the people that are here, and very specifically, like you said, nurturing the actual community that you've got. Because I don't know how to do that yet. I'm kind of, I think a lot of them just want more content, which is great, but I'd love to do more kind of celebrating what is there and that we are a community, because haven't done a lot of that, and I'd love to do more of that, and figuring out how to do that is an exciting prospect.
Dude, for sure. We literally, like, I think about a year and a half ago, we finally, the penny dropped for us that it's like about the community that we foster and the people that are there, and how we foster that community, and how we, what we call, like,
and it's even us understanding what the community, like,
what they want.
It's also like,
and what they like, and who they are, and all that.
Who they are,
stuff,
yeah. Because like you have, at some point you're like, okay, we have these many followers on this platform. That's our community, right? No, they just, like, you have to kind of filter down and say, like, who is your real community? Your community are the people that genuinely like you and like the stuff that you're making and want to support you. Like, they're not just there to just like instinctively throw a like out there or just throw a follow out there. Of your community on these platforms, if you whittle that down, it's a smaller number. It's a much smaller number. And how do you now like create a space to cultivate those people and to make that grow slowly? And for us, it's been our Discord.
I was going to say, our Discord has been vital to us doing that. And I think then in our Discord, like not even advice, but just stuff for you, Arlo. As you said, you've never gone into it, and we've literally done a couple things like within this. Like, dude, polls have been one of the biggest weapons, dude, that we have found of just like activating our community. Like, dude, the reason we did Scorched Basin next in our like,
based on a poll.
It was based on a poll. It was based on, here, guys, here's three things. We're either going to do an underwater Atlantis setting, we're going to do a sci-fi, like a high fantasy sci-fi setting, or we're going to do a Mad Max, like desert dune setting. And our community, dude, unanimously, it was like the most unanimous vote I've ever seen in my life. It was like, X amount to like 4 people, everyone voted fucking Scorched Basin. And so that's literally how we ended up doing it. We've also done like a workshop. A workshop was another thing, dude, that we literally put one out and we had a shit ton of people come. Like, we're fucking nervous. We put it out like on our YouTube channel, like a community post and a couple other things. And we had a huge turnout for people to come and talk about combat in D&D, because or combat in TTRPGs, because that's my like specialty. And dude, it was wild how much people like enjoyed that and came away being like, we haven't done another one since because we just don't have the fucking time. But that is one thing that I would love to do another workshop for our community and do that kind of stuff. And I think you're so right, dude. Like finding out ways how to activate the community and find out what they want. You know, that's the way, dude. That's the and
yeah,
you know
it's probably something I haven't been capitalizing on enough that I definitely can. I've just been churning out stuff.
Dude, D&D Shorts does it all the time. I see his community posts. That
So
sneaky
good.
bastards is putting polls out all the time. I literally, dude, I see him put polls out so frequently. It's one.
Yeah.
Do you know what's another one that I think is a really good way to connect with your community? So I watch a guy called Kevin Lang, who's, I'm not sure how new he is in the space, but it feels like he's relatively new. He posts community posts that are like behind the scenes photos from like videos that he does.
Okay.
That's cool.
And then he just writes a little bit of like, hey guys, like this is what's going on currently, like part of the team, like Kenny's working on a film at the moment, so he's been out of a couple of videos, but you know, we all really enjoyed a caramel latte today, as you can see in slide 3, and it's like the team all like, caramel latte, you know, kind of thing. And I think like again, that behind the scenes, like I think hitting that genuine note with people is you know so important, and that's so vital. It's interesting, dude. It's a really interesting space.
I genuinely couldn't agree more.
Cultivating
My most engaged and liked thing, I don't understand Instagram, still learning how that platform works. So love it. It's great. Got a community on there. Love them. But my most engaged and liked thing was just a bunch of photos I posted from Gen Con saying Gen Con was cool. And everyone just super engaged with that because it wasn't just another video, which I love making them, but there is a desire for more than just what the showmanship of what's on camera. It's like
To me,
the person as well.
indicates. Yeah, exactly.
That's why people love reality TV. That's why we're suckers for things like that. Like people are just like, I just want to see people live in like a situation that I've never lived in. You know, like that's a big part of it. You know,
Dude, behind the scenes Arlo. That might be the you know.
Do that. God, it'd be,
BTSA?
I'd just be rambling bullshit for a few hours, but I actually do it.
To get someone out on the courts watching you.
dude, we need
brick
your
and
fucking
jump shots.
Dude, think of the views, dude. Think of the views. And
Just
the
2 hours of
comments.
0 made shots.
just building a house for the homeless out of bricks. Just building a fucking house for the homeless with bricks. Dude, that honestly, dude, if you posted a video that was you being like, this is my like reel, like your what's it like, you know, you're like a stuntman reel, you know, this is my basketball reel of all like, and it's just you like bricking. Have you seen Along Came Polly with Ben
Yeah.
Stiller? And dude, the basketball scene where it's like white chocolate and just fucking throwing it against the backboard. That would be hilarious, bro. I would fall over for that shit, dude. That's
I definitely want to do more stuff like that. I got a lot of I don't even want to spoil some of them because some of them are really fun ideas that I've got for long form stuff with a couple of friends that are just stupid, genuine fun that we're going to go figure out. But there's definitely stuff in the works and more of that. And I'm excited to do that because like you guys have said, and what I'm realizing is people like the genuine me. So just let's go all in on that. And because I don't know how to be anyone else. So let's not pretend to be.
Do you know what I would love to see? I would love to see a basketball/D&D collab where you tell us the classes and the subclass and level of basketball players. Like fucking Michael Jordan.
I could pull that out of my ass in 2 minutes.
dude, like do like the Bulls, do like Dennis Rodman is the barbarian, you know? Like, you know, dude, that would be fucking
That's
brilliant.
fun. I like Notice just giving me 3 months worth of content. Thanks, man.
Your dream D&D table made out of basketball players. I would like
That's not a bad show.
dude, like I would love to have, you know, like fucking Dwight Howard, because he seems like the paladin. He's like the nicest, violentest, like, you know, he's a big beast, but he's so like precious and cute at the same time.
Picking Dwight over Shaq though is just ridiculous.
That's true.
That is true.
Shaq's gotta be, yeah, you're right. But dude, yeah. By the way, I just want to say, what you just said, dude, is like the shit. Just being yourself, dude. And I think, you know, and this is something else that like Tom and I talked about with like writing styles and stuff. Like early on, I was like trying to just like write like D&D, you know, I'm trying to like write like Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford and meh. And we realized so early on that like we just like, I don't write like that. I write really weird, like descriptive, foofy stuff. And my co-writer writes like very strange, obscure, like lore-based stuff. And straight away out of book 2, everyone has been like, your writing style, and like, we love the fact that you do, that there's jokes like laced throughout this book, that there's, you know, stupid little trends like, you know, not the main character, but the BBG's cat dies very early on in the lore. And later in the book, if you read anything about his cat, it's like the same name as his first cat, but like with the 14th next to it or something. So he's gone through like a shit ton of cats.
Yeah, awesome.
And it's like that kind of stuff. And I think like finding your style, and that's what people then begin to like really love. And I think, you know, we lace, because dialogue is also my favorite thing to write. That's our like big one, is like, I love writing dialogue. So all of our books have chunks of dialogue at various different points between a couple of characters, or like a scene between a couple of characters. And that's where we go so ham in just our weird, like the way Tom and I write dialogue, which is closer to like Tarantino than it is like Spielberg, I guess, or something like that would be how I'd describe it. But yeah, dude, being you, that's
what keeps it fun. That's what keeps it fresh, you know, because there's always going to be the dog days, right? There's going to be like, here's a little something. Everyone is Jordan on the days they feel great, right? Ooh. Everyone is Jordan on the days they feel great.
Valid.
Everyone, dude, right? Some people feel great one day a month, but they're Jordan that day, right? Some people feel great one day a week, but they're Apex that week. So what do you do on the other days is the fucking question, right? That's the question. And like,
absolutely.
Can you at least be a productive member of the team?
Old man knowledge drop.
Rebounds and fucking, you know what I mean? Like, can you at least fill out the fucking stat sheet a little bit on those days? Because if you can, what you start finding out is that you have more Apex days as you go. You start building the muscle, and now from one day a month, it's fucking one day a week to like 3 days a week, and now you're fucking someone to contend with. Now you are a fucking legitimate all-star, right?
100%, yeah. But
dude, that analogy, that's a perfect analogy of it, genuinely.
Dude, 60 years of experience of all the shit. Yeah, do you know what? I have to admit, dude, it's one of those things of like, you know, we talked about being friends with someone who inspires you. I feel so lucky being able to work with this idiot because, dude, like, again, he's my dad. He's my inspiration. He's done great things already in his life. He's achieved more than, you know, I could hope to achieve in my life already. And you know, I think it's one of those things, dude, of surrounding yourself with people that you're inspired by, and I feel super lucky to work with you, dude, like nice, in that way, because you inspire me, and you say stupid shit like what you just said, which you know no one else comes out with, you know, but it means some shit.
It means some to us.
It means some.
It landed. That works for me.
But yeah, here talking about landing it, I'll try and land this plane. How about I grab?
Let me just put my fucking seatbelt on.
Yeah.
Put my tray table up real quick.
Yeah. I'll try and land this plane with, you know, dude, I can't wait to continue working with you for years to come, you know, both creatively within writing stuff, within video stuff, within just friendship, dude, and being your homie, dude. Like, I think for me, this relationship with you, like, I've been so out of the loop with engaging with other people because I've been needing to write and project manage the whole time, and Tom does so much of the engaging with the people that we work with that I just have to tell you, dude, it's been a pleasure to have you as one of the few people that I've been inducted back into, and to have you in my life now, dude. So thank you for taking the time to just come on today, chat to us for a little bit, like shoot the shit with us about random shit for a little bit.
Always.
Thanks for fucking an amazing Gen Con, dude, and being an awesome friend during Gen Con. And obviously, dude, cannot wait to work with you for the Scorch Basin. For those who are listening, Arlo will have a creator pack in our Scorch Basin Kickstarter, so keep your eyes out to get his pack. If you're a fan of him, go get his pack when the Kickstarter comes out. over to you, dude. What do you want? Where can the people find you? Where can the people do anything? What's something that you're excited about that's coming up for you that other people should be excited
well,
about?
before I do any of that, I am going to thank you both for having me on. And I think one of the coolest outcomes of initial intentions from doing all of this was meeting like-minded people that I genuinely get along with. I think the exciting and scariest prospect is eventually this will come to an end, or it might not work out, or it's not a pursuable thing for me. But what I'm really valuing is the fact that if I stopped creating content tomorrow and never post it again, I've got enough genuine relationships with people that I have no reason to stop pursuing and maintaining. And that's the both of you. Like, we've hit on like a house on fire. I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. We're working together. We'll be shooting the shit for non-stop years to come, because it's too fun not to. But yeah, no, genuinely, thank you. Like, it's thank you for being as genuine as I assumed you both were, because it makes me kind of have a bit of faith in how I think about people. So just thanks for that, I guess. But to answer your thing, Bodhi, you can find me on Arlentric. That is ARLENTRIC on primarily YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Something to look forward to coming. I've got a really fun that I'm not going to tell anything about because I'm too excited to start working on it. I've been scripting it while I've been away. Look out for a long form YouTube video coming out in, knowing my delivery times, probably a month. But it's exciting. Look out for that. There's going to be other ones in between. But yeah, I guess look out for more community driven long form content. That is something I'm very excited to do. And if you want to see me on an actual play when I get home, I gotta check dates for that, but sounds like adventure. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that stuff. I'm on there. I play a really stupid space captain, so if you want to hear more of me throughout your week, you can do that there.
And also, if you want Arlo on more actual plays, go and pester your favorite actual play to have him on. Have him fucking on the show. Get in the comments, as Brendan Lee Mulligan would say. Get in the fucking comments. Okay, guys, thank you for taking the time to be with us here at Homie and the Dude. We are working on our next setting called the Scorch Basin, a Dune/Mad Max inspired setting. We are so excited about that. We will be dropping our first teaser trailer to that very, very soon. And we're super hyped about that. Otherwise, thank you for being part of the Homie and the Dude familia. Come join our Discord server. There'll be a link in the description. A super safe, fun, inclusive space with a bunch of hooligans and jabronis hanging out, talking D&D stuff, as well as also sharing life stuff. You know, we have people going through hard times in that Discord, and we're all there for each other. We have people looking for jobs and battling the ebbs and flows of life. So if you need a place to come and feel safe and supported and have some homies, you know, we're the place for it. Come be part of the familia. But otherwise, Arlo, thank you. What's up, old man? Love you, pimp. Right. So we'll catch you guys in the next episode. See you then.
See ya.
Thank you so much for watching this podcast. We really hope you enjoyed. If you are interested in joining our journey as we continue here at Homie and the Dude, you can join our community on Discord, where we give out loads of behind the scenes content, share early teasers and things like that, as well as also just interact and have just a beautiful space for community members to, you know, spend time and interact with each other, which is lovely. Otherwise, we hope you have a really awesome day. Thank you so much for watching Homie and the Dude, and we'll catch you next time.